And now, you're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
Welcome into RBLR Sports, covering all things about our wonderful Tampa Bay sports teams, the Flappy Boys, the Zappy Boys, and of course, the Pewter Pirates. My name is Eureka, and this week we will be talking about the Bucks bouncing back with a 46-23 win over the Carolina Panthers, and they look ahead to a primetime Monday Night Football matchup against the Rams, as well as some fashionable threads that the Lightning showed off this week. Joining me for this escapade is Musab. Musab, how are you doing this fine evening, my friend?
It is a great day in Tampa Bay, and it's always a good week after a Bucks win. So I'm real happy. My family's happy, and I'm hoping the fans of Tampa Bay Buccaneers are happy as well. And that's all I really got to say. But hey, how you doing, Eureka?
I'm good, man. The sun shines a little brighter. The rain isn't as wet, the all the things that happen on a Monday morning just seem, the coffee tastes way better after a bounce back victory like the one we saw. This was really good, man. I just kind of want to get right into it because I said last week that this had to be a statement game. This had to be a bounce back win after such a really bad loss against the Saints. And they had shown throughout the year that they've done this. Every time they've lost, they've come back. Fortunately, twice against the Panthers now. They've kind of been on the rebounding end of Tom Brady and the Bucs here. But what was really encouraging is that not only have the Bucs now won 4 out of the last 5 games, but in this game, they did it with a balanced attack. They ran the ball exceptionally well. Even if you take away the really long touchdown run, which I know you'll get into later, but even if you take away that one run, Jones was on track close to 100 yards, right? Tom Brady looked a lot better passing through the air, and we cannot forget another solid effort by the Bucs defense. As much as the Panthers scored 23 points, it never looked like the Bucs defense was out of balance or that the Panthers had one up on the Bucs. It was just the Panthers are a good team, and I think first and foremost I do want to say that is their record isn't indicative of how good the Panthers really are. And they showed that in the first half. It was a good back and forth, but the Bucs were able to turn on the Jets and get it done. So, Musab, how did you see the Bucs game? I don't know if you want to talk about it overall or if you want to break it down half by half, but what were your big takeaways from this game?
Well, I think overall, I just want to say that after the game against the Saints, the Buccaneers just did a complete 180. The Buccaneers team going against the Panthers in Charlotte was not the team we saw last week or the week before with the Saints. Rather, it was the Bucs that everyone expected Tampa Bay this year. Loaded with the offensive firepower that any team, specifically being the Panthers, couldn't just keep up with. I think this is the offense that should be expected and is expected by our fans and by anyone really who's watching our Buccaneers. 8 different players are on the receiving end of Tom Brady's 28 completions, and really nice to see Antonio Brown, bringing in about 25% of Brady's completions, and then we got our 2 stars, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, also adding some receptions in as well. So, while Brady was efficient through the air and, spread the ball around, it was the Bucs' running game to me that we were left to marvel at. A week removed from an 8-yard rushing performance against the Saints, our Buccaneers moved with ease on the ground, led by our one and only Ronald Jones. especially with that 98-yard run that we'll talk about soon.
Yeah.
But hey, total he had about 192 yards, and I will say though that 98-yard run by Ronald Jones, to me, it seemed like it just completely changed the momentum of the game because, first quarter and a little bit of second quarter, they were kind of going back at it. Started our game with that little sloppy fumble. Panthers were taking the lead, and it wasn't a strong lead though either. So I was very hopeful that obviously we would come back. But it wasn't a bad start, but definitely was not the start we were expecting or wanted. But I think offensively, you and I have discussed this in the past. When Brady's feeling hot, then our team's going to be doing good. But also I think I love to see the big three, that little trio of the wide receivers we have, Evans, Godwin, and Brown, who they did exactly what they needed to do. I love the different kind of passes that Brady was dishing out to them, kind of those rainbow throws, but also those bullets. So it was really nice to me. But I think even the defense was it fixed quickly. I think the slow start on the defense fixed quickly. Panthers quarterback Teddy Bridgewater started the game. Throwing some nice passes to DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson. And I think a couple of the longer passes did catch our Bucks defense off guard, specifically our secondary unit. But the secondary, they put together things quickly, and they made sure to contain Bridgewater's passing for the remainder of that game. But I don't think any game can be perfect. Maybe from the top of my head, I would say the best game, or the game I really enjoyed the most, was probably the Packers, just because with no penalties and just how the defense was dominating a team like the Packers, who was undefeated at that time, was really nice to see. But talking about this Panthers-Bucks game, if I'm going to be a little nitpicky, I would say we did have some red zone issues. First being in the first half, while the game was close, Tampa Bay was able to score touchdowns on 2 of the 3 red zone trips. While the Bucks were beginning to move the ball better in the second half, they settled for 3 third quarter, red zone field goals in a row that could have been answered by, most offenses, and definitely could have been answered when you got weapons like Brown, Gronkowski, Godwin, Evans, and then, you got our quarterback, Tom Brady. So, the Bucks, they only held a 12-point lead beginning of this, fourth quarter, although it felt as if it should have been at least 3 scores. So, and definitely a huge shout out to the whole team, and I'm really happy with the game and how we pulled away, especially in the end of the game. But I think some things still need to be fixed, but not too worrisome to me. But also, I just, kind of want to, I guess, maybe just share, maybe just my overall final thoughts is, first of all, before I even start, I just want to say, it was a little rough seeing, Teddy Bridgewater, go out with the injury. I got nothing against the guy, and I'm really happy to see someone like a backup like him, who's kind of under Bree's shadow, get that, that starter role on another team, and he's been doing a solid job. So I wish him the best, and I hope he recovers. And with his team as well, I think Carolina put forth an earnest effort in the first half of the game, and it even looked as if they had control of the game going into halftime with that tied score. But they fell flat in the second half. I'm sure that locker room talk that Arians or Brady or anyone was really having with the rest of the team, it definitely changed the whole game plan, changed, the mentality of the players. So, the second half from beginning to end belonged straight up to the Buccaneers. Our quarterback, Tom Brady, was on point. And, because of that, the Panthers faced that adversity coming into the game, with a little better defense, and then injuries to Mike Davis and Bridgewater as well surely rattled offensive line and their whole kind of offensive momentum. And I don't want, they're a young squad, but I think it's also that once, I think the big thing to me is I think once the Bucks really get high, I think the momentum really really picks up big time, more than other teams I've seen before. So yeah, I love to see it, and I think I'm looking forward to next week's game. But the two things I did really want to talk about that really really made me happy, and I think I really actually I take that back. Three things. The first thing I really want to talk about is what I talked about last week was with Gronkowski. Using that size, he's kind of getting that. He's getting into his little mojo going on now. I think he's gotten used to. Used to the team, used to kind of, he's kind of gotten back with, Brady, kind of working together now, and it was really nice to see that one reception where he kind of broke that tackle. I think he hit maybe he was he was definitely within 10 to 15 yards of that touchdown area. So for our listeners, I'm sure you saw the game, and if you didn't, definitely check out the highlights. You'll definitely see it. Definitely see it on there. So that was really nice to see, just because that's what I expected from him, and I'm really happy. Definitely would have loved the touchdown, but I was confident that they would be able to score, and they did. And the second thing I really loved to see was Mike Evans' little tippy-toe touchdown. Thanks to his size, the dude he's got height compared to most wide receivers, and also most of these defensive backs. It's hard guarding a guy like that. First of all, the guy's got size, and he's got height too. So you got to be a special kind of secondary, or you got to be praying that Tom Brady throws kind of a bad pass to Evans, so you can kind of get away with that. But beautiful catch by Mike Evans. And the last thing I do want to talk about, as I mentioned before, changing the whole momentum of the game, was definitely Ronald Jones' 98-yard run. Panthers kicked it off, and then the kickoff team, they were able to, one of the players, kind of dove into the end zone, but kind of tossed the ball out of the end zone, kind of making sure that the Bucks are, somewhere around, the first or second, 1 or 2 yard line. And I was like, oh, yikes. Well, hey, we got a lot to go, and obviously we're not too ahead right now. So we definitely can't screw it up. And when something like that happens, I know most of the time they're able to kind of get away with it, but my fear is always that I hope a safety doesn't happen, especially with someone like Tom Brady. He's got the vision, but does he have the speed? Not really. So I was praying. I said, listen, I'm praying that Tom Brady, he immediately sees someone and we can get at least, 5 to 10 yards, so we can get away from the end zone so we don't get a safety, or he's got a plan to do something with the running backs, and that is exactly what they did. Beautiful execution by Ronald Jones, just, kind of picking out through the defensive line and getting away free. And once he kind of hit that 20-yard line, I was like, yay, everyone's going wild. And then, right after, as soon as everyone started saying yay, there's one of the Panthers defensive back or safeties kind of running, right behind him, and I'm like, oh my god, and I'm thinking, just because with our red zone issues, I was like, hey, I know Ronald Jones is gonna go far. And the way the guy was running right behind him, I was like, yikes! Jones might get tackled, but Panthers defender dove, he missed, and as soon as he missed, that's when I was watching with my dad. I was like, oh my god, this was beautiful, and he just kept on going and going and going, and 98 yards, I think, a franchise or a team record. And it was beautiful. I think it just changed the whole momentum of the game, seeing something like that. Because, the thing is, the Panthers are so hyped to, get the Bucks on, the 1 or 2 yard line. And they're like, hey, we got them.
That's a great punt. Yeah,
it was a great punt. Oh, definitely. And they're thinking, okay, hey, and they can get some yards or whatever. They can get a little bit high, but and then we'll make sure they don't pass the 50-yard line so they get that field goal range. But hey, as soon as we started, Jones came through for us, and I think because of that, I think that has really hyped up our team, and especially just thinking about, hey, who's gonna be our star. So far, I mean, the way I look at it, I think Ronald Jones has still got that main role. Love Fournette, and I think he's been doing a great job as well. But I mean, I'm still counting on Ronald Jones to, come through for us when we really need him, and that's exactly what we got from him. So shout out to Ronald Jones, Mike Evans, and Gronkowski. I love to see it. What do you think?
Yeah, and it's crazy because like it's what we expected all these weapons to contribute, because what you just named there is wide receiver, tight end, running back, right? And it's all of these facets that now that's why I was like, oh my God, we're getting Antonio Brown already. Like, we already have Godwin, we already have Evans, we have Gronkowski, but even guys like Scotty Miller only had a little bit to play in this game. I think as the offense gets worked out, you're going to see a couple other these guys that have had to step up that are not the household names. But then you get a backup guy like Cameron Brate, right? And he had just a massive third down conversion on 3rd and 15 where he made that like diving, reaching play to extend that drive that ended up being one of the field goals to put us up by 12 points at a time where, there was a little bit of doubt that if the momentum had fully swung Tampa Bay's way, but it only takes one or two good big plays from the Panthers, and now they're right back into it. But you had said, that moment that kind of just flipped that switch was that 98-yard touchdown by Ronald Jones, and that's in the midst of just this. Again, we see the Bucs come out in the second half and just like flip the switch. It's almost like it does take them the first half to kind of figure out, what are they doing? How are they playing these matchups? How are they picking? What's the poison that they're picking? With all these offensive weapons. I would say the big difference is the defense. Just pretty much decided to put the kibosh on everything the Panthers were doing, because in the first half, the Panthers were playing really good, unpredictable offensive play. They had good play calling, because the Panthers were doing some of the things that are weaknesses against the Bucs, which is those little wide receiver screens, those little quick kind of these little plays that work on misdirection and counter plays, and using the fact that Bridgewater is a threat to run as well. They did a little bit of that to kind of offset them not having Christian McCaffrey back there. And I mean, this is a team that even on special teams, you got to wonder, like, they've run fake punts. They did 2 successive fake punts. They tried a third one in this game, and it got shut down, fortunately. But they're a tricky team, and they're at a point where they're going to pull every and any trick out of their hat to get an advantage, especially over probably a better team in the Bucs. But all those little things that were happening and those little breaks that were going in the way of Carolina didn't happen in the second half. I mean, in the second half, you've got the defense held them to a 3-and-out on their first drive, an interception by USF alum JPP, Pierre Paul, and then the third drive was another 3-and-out where they tried that fake punt that went nowhere, and it wasn't until their fourth drive where they got that really, really, really good special teams return that should have been a touchdown. And so they had a 1st and goal from the 4-yard line. And so the first time they put up points in the second half is at the end of the third quarter, where they went for a 2-pointer and it was no good. So at that point they're already down 32-23. Meanwhile, all the Bucs have done was move the ball really consistently. Yeah, they you're right. They didn't put the ball in the end zone, and some of that is to kind of it was weird play calling. I think the first time they were in the red zone, with all 3 straight passes, and then they had to kick a field goal. But it was pretty good play calling from the rest of the game. But it was really just talent taking over, and the play calling was really on point, and we had made some of the adjustments. And at that point, we had kind of made the Panthers be one-dimensional because they were down by a couple scores. And that's my big takeaway of this whole game, is that like it really was, it wasn't perfect like you said, but as much as it wasn't super dominating at the score up until the end of the game, I really didn't think that the Panthers had any shot, after they went 3 and out, interception, 3 and out. It was like, okay, at this point, you're waiting on the Buccaneers to make the fatal move, because it wasn't going to come from anything the Panthers were going to be able to do. So those are my big things where I'm looking at, like, Devin White's flying around. JPP drops back into coverage and gets an interception. He's only got 8 fingers or whatever, and here he is with a club hand, and he makes an interception, a diving interception. And then all these guys, the Cameron Brates, the Scotty Miller getting one little thing, but it is, Fournette, even though he didn't have more than 2.5 yards a carry, he is still that good little change of pace where you've got Jones and Fournette, and you still have to account for them no matter what what you think. So when the Buccaneers are actually doing really good, kind of running and passing 50-50 play calling, the defense really doesn't know what to do, because it's like, well, if you drop back in a zone, they're going to shove Jones and Fournette down your throat. And if you try to do man-to-man, well, you can't cover Godwin and Evans and Brown and then whoever's the tight end. So someone's going to be open. And then even out of that, guys like Jones and Fournette, they can still, they're not Alvin Kamara or anything, but they can still catch out of the backfield. So it's just like, when all the cylinders are firing on this team, it is, it's really easy to see how they can, not quite effortlessly, but very, very suddenly, I guess is the best way of putting it. The Bucs can suddenly flip that switch, and all of a sudden you haven't scored in 3 drives, and the Buccaneers have put 12 to 14 points on the board. And at that moment, where it was a tie game going into halftime, it's now really decisively swung towards Tampa Bay's manner. So that was why it was really, really fun to watch. Is that I thought it was a good back and forth first half, and then the Bucs just brought the hammer in the second. But you look at this defense too. You have how many guys with tackles for losses in this game? Levante David, Devin White, JPP, and even the secondaries getting in the action, because Bowles blitzing as much as we do, everyone gets in on the action. So I don't other than just kind of solid all around effort, there was never really much of a peril in the second half. It was really just kind of frustrating in the first half, but once they figured it out, they ran away with their 7th victory of the year.
It was wonderful.
Oh, man. Well, they are now 7 wins on the way to the playoffs. Can they get one more? And it might be a lot harder than you think, because the biggest nemesis of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is up next. And yeah, the Rams are who they're playing, but they're going to be playing in prime time on Monday night. Can the Buccaneers get a Monday night football victory? We'll go through all the pros and cons of how we're going to attack the Rams. All that after the break. Back into RBLR Sports. We are now transitioning to the next matchup. This is Tampa Bay Buccaneers come in on a winning 4 out of the last 5 games, and now they're going to go against the Los Angeles Rams at Raymond James Stadium, and the Rams are coming in pretty hot themselves. The Rams are 6-3 this year, and they've seesawed their way over the last 4 games. But last week they did beat Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks 23-16. The Seahawks are by far, in my opinion, the best team that LA has beaten this year. They have lost to the Bills, they've lost to the Niners, and they lost to the Dolphins a couple weeks ago. So far, though, they are undefeated at home, but all of their losses have come on the road. So all 3 of those losses have been in the same predicament that they're in this week, coming to Ray J. So the Bucs are 4-point favorites according to Vegas. Musab, how do you see the Bucs lining up against this Rams team?
Hopefully, how the Bucs played against the Panthers. I think, or at least in one way, I don't hope it goes like this, but if it does, I think the Buccaneers can get away with it. Just how, quarterback Jared Goff has been, he's been playing very, very well, and he's been protecting the football. They're also running the ball well. Their play action game has been pretty outstanding. And then defensively, I mean, they might be one of the best defenses in the league right now, especially when it comes to that second half defense. So, the way I see it, and you and I have talked about it before, is, hoping, the offensive line can definitely protect our Lord and Savior, Tom Brady.
Yeah.
And, but, the thing is, I like to watch all the games, especially the big games, like highlights, and I definitely checked out the Rams and Seahawks just because, I mean, the way I'm looking at this game, it's a battle between 2 NFC teams, and they're, I would say this is a battle for at least, second, third, and maybe fourth, but second or third, best team right now in the NFC. So after seeing how the Rams performed against, the Seattle Seahawks, I don't think anyone was expecting, how much defense, or how hot the defense was looking of the Rams. I don't think, especially Russell Wilson. I mean, they were completely dominating him. I think that's a good example of just, hey, our offense is, it's solid. Goff has been doing a good job. But I think, the game, especially with Russell Wilson, it's a good, I guess, example of just how good the Rams defense has been this season. Prior to last, Sunday's game, Wilson had thrown at least 2 touchdown passes in every game this season, and at least 3 in 7 of the 9. But, the Rams didn't allow him a single scoring pass. They picked him off twice and held him to season lows when it came to completion percentage. And Mr. Aaron Donald and the rest of his guys, they sacked Russell Wilson 6 times. So this is, this is a little scary the way I'm looking at it, because, from the top of my head, we've played some good defensive teams. Last being, I would say, the Saints. But also, I guess, a little goes to just the sloppiness of the Bucs. But we're that's for another day or another year, I guess, since we're done playing with them. But credit goes to the defense. I guess maybe credit goes to maybe their new defensive coordinator, and just some other changes they've made with their defensive lineup. With getting Jalen Ramsey, who's been doing a great job as well. So, the way I'm looking at it, offensively, I think it could be a shootout, really. I'll definitely come out with my my final prediction later on when I'm done talking about this my preview, my prediction. But the big thing is just just seeing, these are two hot teams, and I think this is going to be a great matchup. What the Rams are 6-3 and the Bucks are 7-3, right? So this is it's the clash of the two sunny states, two great football teams. The battle between our Lord and Savior and the veteran slash GOAT slash legend, Mr. Tom Brady versus, a young stud, Jared Goff. So we're in for a treat, and I think, the chemistry that the Rams have been having, so far this season it's been looking pretty scary. But then again, with our Bucks, we got our weapons now. What's been probably now our second or third game now with Antonio Brown with our Bucks now. So he's looking good too. We got our other weapons, Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. Ronald Jones, I'm hoping he goes off again this upcoming Monday. And we also got our other running back, Leonard Fournette, who I think he's a beast. I think when it comes to those red zone kind of scoring opportunities, I do like him a little bit more just because he's really got that. He can really charge into the D line or anyone who's coming at him. And then also just a shout out to our tight ends, Rob Gronkowski and Cameron Brate as well. Cameron Brate's been he's been stepping up, and whenever we need him to get the job done, he does it. Like last game, the touchdown, and then also that fourth down attempt where he kind of dove to get that first down. That was amazing to see. I didn't know Cameron Brate could do that. So I guess maybe my last remark or two is I'll throw in some bold predictions as well. But I guess my last remark is both these teams are fighting for division titles and playoffs berth. I think the Rams, they've been favored in a lot of their games, so I don't see anyone being the underdog, and Tampa Bay has been 5-0 when it comes to scoring 30 points or more, and as I mentioned before, I think this probably will be a shootout. So that being said, before I go for my final score, I think from the top of my head, I want to say bold predictions. I think Ronald Jones is going to go for 100 plus yards. My other one is I think the Bucks are they've taken their time, and they know this is after seeing after the game with the Saints and another that other rough game with the Bears, which was a different story. I don't think the Bucks are in the mood to screw up again or play sloppy, and especially going against a team like the Rams. I mean, they know this team is they're a serious threat. They're also fighting for the same kind of positions as the Bucks are. So I'm predicting that our Buccaneers Bucks will get 2 interceptions. So I think Jared Goff is going to throw 2 interceptions, and Ronald Jones 100 plus yards. And then my last one is I think Gronkowski will get a red zone touchdown. Just the way I saw him last game, I think he's definitely gonna take his size and his skills and that little Brady Gronkowski chemistry to his advantage. And with those predictions comes my final score, which I see as I think it's gonna be a shootout, not the whole game. I think maybe perhaps the middle of the game. I think the first quarter is not gonna be something super special. But I think it's really going to come down to the start or halfway through the second quarter up until the start of the fourth quarter is where all those points are really going to come in. And my final score prediction is Buccaneers 34, Rams 27.
There we go. Yeah, I'm all right with another Bucks victory there.
Aren't we all?
Something about this tells me that it's not going to be you look at all the numbers, and I see where you're going, and it's like the Rams are all about Jared Goff and the passing game. Like in all their games, their leading rusher a lot of times has way less than 100 yards. I mean, in a couple of them, it's been less than 40 yards, and so it's Jared Goff throwing 250 or more yards is like pretty much a given. If you could bet on that, if you take the over, if they give you something low like 230 yards, take the over, because really it's they're putting the ball in his hands. And if the Bucs are going to win, they're going to have to stop Jared Goff. I mean, one thing that the Dolphins were able to do a couple weeks ago is make the Rams turn the ball over 4 times, and one of them went back for a touchdown. So I'm all about your prediction that the Bucs are going to get 2 interceptions. I think that a lot of this is going to come down to the Buccaneers front 7 and that blitzing defense that Bowles likes to call. I mean, it's the most blitzes in the league. They keep telling you that every week, right? Well, it's kind of like if the right blitzes are called and we're shutting down their run game, then the play action, it shouldn't be a weapon, because it's like they use that play action, but they don't really run the ball that well. And so all in all, it's like, well, I don't think that. I mean, against some defenses, yeah, they always have to worry about it. But with the Bucs, it's like we play good against the run. The big question, though, is can the linebackers drop back into pass coverage? Are we going to see another JPP sack or interception? Or are we going to be able to get pressure on Goff, make him make a bad read, and can our young defensive backs not get caught off guard? Because I think they did get caught off guard a few times against Bridgewater and against the Panthers. And throughout these last month, I guess, we've seen, Murphy Bunting give up on a couple plays or make the wrong read and give up early touchdowns. Once again, my formula is they're going to have to shut down the pass. They're going to have to keep the score close, if not, be ahead in the first half. It can't be where we let the Rams go up by 2 or 3 scores before we even really get into sync. Because there are some holes in this Rams defense, as good as they are. I kind of look at who they've played, and I'm like, they've only played a couple teams that are as good as the Bucs, and now this is a game that could have playoff implications, because now we're looking at 2 teams that are looking to be at the top of the NFC and looking for home field advantage in the playoffs. But against the better teams, the Rams just haven't been able to really get over the hump. And against a couple teams that were iffy, like the Giants, they beat them, but they only beat them by 6 points. And Jared Goff, he only threw 200 yards in that game. So it's kind of there's some things that they can blueprint. There's some things they can go back and if just on sheer talent alone, this defense is amazing. Okay. But it is going to come down to playing a zone coverage versus playing a man coverage, and can these guys stay on their man? Can these guys stay up to task? Because Goff will give them opportunities to get interceptions, and I think if you're blitzing them correctly, you're going to create a lot of pressure, and you're going to create some opportunities to get some pressure sacks, which could lead to fumbles and lead to things that are just giving Brady extra opportunities to convert good opportunities into points. Now, with all that said, I think that the Rams' offense against this defense, it's a mismatch. I think that this defense can and will keep the Rams under 20 points. I think that the question is, can the Rams defense hold Tom Brady to under 24 points. Because I think when it's all said and done, this won't be so much of a shootout as it is kind of a clawing back and forth duel up until the very last quarter. I do see the Buccaneers prevailing by the score of 24-17. I think that it's going to come down to the Rams' backup kicker, who's been kind of inconsistent. He didn't miss anything last week, but he's been wobbly at best, and they've had to do that since their lead kicker, Matt Gay, has been out. So it really is going to be little things like special teams play, which I think the Rams haven't shown that they're a lot better than anybody else, and I think the Bucs have been pretty sound on special teams, other than getting an extra point blocked last week. But our guys, if Brady isn't able to convert those red zone opportunities like we kind of had last week, there's no reason I see Ryan Suckup turning in a bad performance. He's pretty consistent, and I think that's going to be overall the difference is if nobody can score touchdowns, who's the better field goal kicker? And I think that without a doubt it'll be Suckup. But if you're nitpicking even more, if Tom Brady is going to be successful, it is going to be taking the aggressive defense like Aaron Donald and all these guys. They do give up a lot of quick and little intermediate throws, especially to tight ends. So if they decide to play man against Godwin and Evans and Brown and all this stuff, you've still got Gronk, you've still got Brate, you've still got guys like Scotty Miller that I think are going to get opportunities to convert third downs, get those little, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, and those are going to be key to extending drives that even if they ultimately end up in field goals, they keep Jared Goff off the field and they keep the score low, but they keep the clock running. That, I think, is the big thing is we can't let Jared Goff throw for 400 yards. We can't let them be unpredictable with their play calling and doing a lot of the deception and the screens and the play action and all this stuff, the bootlegs, all this stuff that they do. The Rams pretty much need to be shut down quickly in the first half, and then basically grind it out from there. That's sort of how I see this game planning out. I think that 4-point Vegas spread is pretty on point, but all in all, I hope it's an entertaining game. I think this is going to be more frustrating than like a celebration. I think there's going to be some hair pulling out. I think both teams are going to make good plays. And it's going to come down to those super little nitty-gritty things like special teams play and whether or not one-on-one matchups for the Buccaneers defensive backs are going to be able to come through. I know I threw a lot there, but that's kind of how I see this particular matchup of these two NFC giants kind of going against each other.
I mean, I completely agree with you. I definitely do like your prediction as well. I guess, just to add a little bit is, I think along with, looking out for Goff, hopefully he doesn't go off, I think just the fact that, they also kind of have 3 fresh running backs that, they can, keep changing. Yeah. Overall, what I see is, no team is the same. So, they're definitely different, but I think they're also similar. I think, the style of what they do with each one of them is pretty much the same. And, they've added more power to the game. Yeah. But, so hopefully it's not too hard to defend them. But also I think the weaknesses that I've, seen in the past with the Rams is kind of that, that goal to go touchdown efficiency. Also, when it comes to crunch time, like those 2-minute warnings or anything like that, they haven't been able to execute anything like that. So hopefully, if they do get pressured when it comes to things like that, hopefully they won't be able to come through. And especially with our defense, I don't see our defense making any silly mistakes, hopefully,
Yeah.
when it comes to crunch time. So for that reason, that's why I just think, as you mentioned before, the Rams offense compared to versus our Bucks defense, it's going to be a different matchup. I think the big thing to look for is probably the Bucks offense versus the Rams defense. People to look out for being, Jalen Ramsey, who, after a few games to get settled in, he's been quietly dominant, for the Rams down the stretch. This year he's even been better. Ramsey, he locked down Seahawks breakout star DK Metcalf and basically kind of took him out of the picture. And, the Rams throttling top, against, Seattle's, top scoring offense. So, and then also, the star himself, defensive line, Aaron Donald, who, he's just an absolute tank. So, those guys definitely looking out for, praying that, our offensive line does everything they can to make sure we keep our quarterback protected. Because, I got nothing against our backup quarterbacks. It's just, we cannot afford to have Tom Brady get hurt. If anything, it's like, hey, if something is to happen, and the defensive line kind of, sneaks through some, these offensive line little holes that we are to create this upcoming Monday. Hopefully, it's not anything too deadly to our team and too extreme to our quarterback Tom Brady. But in the end, I just think anything can happen. When it comes to predictions, no matter what anyone says, you can be fairly accurate, but sometimes it just the game changes. I don't. Every team is different, and I just think that the Bucks are really going to give the Rams a tough time. The Rams can possibly also give the Bucks a tough time as well. So I think this game is, I was thinking, why are we playing on a Monday? And, I'm thinking, okay, well, it really is prime time, first of all, just because it is Tom Brady. How can you not put the guy on prime time? And then second of all, this is a really, really crucial game for both teams. So we are definitely in for a treat, and so are the Rams fans as well. And second of all, I think just because it's Monday, I think it's something to look forward to throughout the weekend, and also on Monday, like the majority of the world, Mondays are not fun. So, when I wake up Monday morning and I grab my cup of joe or, I'm eating my cereal, hey, I'll be like, hey, at least my Bucks are playing tonight, and it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a good game. So I'm looking forward to it, and I'm hoping our Bucks come through if they play their cards right and they perform like they did last game, but obviously make some changes as well. Obviously, I wouldn't say last game was an ideal example of how they should play, but definitely a lot of good things from that game that hopefully can be passed on to this upcoming Monday's game.
Yeah, one thing we do not want to see is Blaine Gabbert and his jersey on the field, but one jersey we will want to take a look at is the Tampa Bay Lightning's new retro reverse jersey. One last thing before we get out. After the break, we'll get into some cool little fashion talk about the Tampa Bay Lightning and their newest jersey. All that after the break. Welcome back into RBLR Sports. For the last thing we'll talk about is our Tampa Bay Lightning unveiling, Adidas unveiling league-wide the reverse retro jersey series. This was pretty cool. Every team at the same time released an alternate jersey that is going to go on sale December 1st. In every local market, though, they are selling the jerseys, like pre-selling them. So you can go to TampaBaySports.com and take a look at these jerseys, but you can also pre-order them before they're in stores. But if you go there, you can kind of see pictures here of it's a kind of a remixing of the 2004 season jerseys. Of course, that being the last year we won the Stanley Cup. So what they did is they took that old 2004 style, including the old logo, the old crest on the front of that. And I mean, I guess if to simplify it, you basically took, it was a black jersey with white shoulders, a white stripe, and a blue accent at the bottom of it. You basically swapped that. So now you have a mostly blue jersey with white shoulder pads, the old Tampa Bay Lightning crest on the shoulders, and then you have a white stripe and then a black accent at the very bottom of it. So it's sort of remixing today's just like classic minimalist white and blue jerseys and adding that old school flair to it. The last time, so I just have memories of Vinny LeCavier and Dave Anderchuk, hoisting up the Stanley Cup, 16 years ago, and it was kind of weird because I didn't think that they were gonna do something super crazy, but as simple as it is, I think it works. It is a very simple design. I was hoping that they would really put the big boy pants on and redo the infamous 1994 Storm jerseys. Have you seen these, Masab? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I have not.
You should Google this right now.
I will.
If you Tampa Bay Lightning Storm jersey. Okay, these things are like half, they're like half nightmare fuel, but they're also just peak 90s. It's just like oh my god. So if you haven't seen these Storm jerseys, or if you're just listening to our description of them, what you have is, these are a blue jersey, right? So back then they didn't have a blue jersey. It was like white and black. So this was a major blue jersey with that crest, with that same crest that they're doing on these retro reverse. But on the sleeves are literal lightning bolts firing down from the sky. And then across the waist, or the bottom of the jersey, is the waves of Tampa Bay, as a hurricane or something is coming through and pushing it all onto the causeway, right? So these things are infamously hideous, especially when you look at the number font on these things, which I don't know if this is supposed to be like wind of a hurricane or fur like a dog or something, but they are just ridiculously ugly. I was hoping that they were going to maybe do some sort of callback to this ugly jersey. But there are a couple other callbacks. So if you're looking at the 2020 retro remix, underneath the armpits, you have what are called the victory stripes that we had on some of the jerseys before Reebok came in and redesigned them. So you had the victory stripes. Some of the pictures that the model's doing, you can kind of see them. But all in all, they didn't do the ugly Storm jerseys. They went really simple and really classic, I guess, just with that change where it's the majority blue on these jerseys. I think they're going for about $180, which
wow.
Hockey sweaters are pretty expensive.
They are.
This one, and if you get a player, I think it's like $200 or more, $220, something like that. Yeah, I don't know. league wide, there was some other crazy, cool ones like the St. Louis Blues went to a really like crazy red that I don't think they wore back in the 90s. It was the blue and the white, but they went with a majority red. Have you seen those?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, it kind of harkens back to like the ending days of Wayne Gretzky when he was there. The Minnesota Wild did a really cool thing where they kind of shouted out their old history as the Minnesota North Stars. And so what they did is they just basically changed their color scheme to that like primary yellow and green. I'm trying to think, what was the other one that was like really cool? Well, the Florida Panthers went back. They kind of just basically are redoing their inaugural, or at least their first run with their Panthers jerseys of like the leaping panther in the middle as the logo there. A lot of these jerseys were just basically color swaps. The Canadians just flipped their red and their blue. The Lightning did the same thing with the blue and the black. And the Hurricanes, though, and the Avalanche are actually shouting out old teams that they became that they were before they were moved to the current locations. For instance, in Carolina, they're actually going to wear Hartford Whaler jerseys, and these are one of the styles that are just infamous for kind of hipsters wearing, or people up from the Northeast. There's a lot of them down here in Florida, but you know, up in that Hartford area, the whale was a well respected and classic look. And the Carolina Hurricanes are going to reenact that. And one of the cool things is that their logo was, it was like a whale tail coming over a W, but if you looked, there was actually an H hidden inside of that logo. So you had the H for Hartford, the W for Wales, and then actually a whale tail kind of making everything visible.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And then the Avalanche are shouting out their old history as the Quebec Nordiques. They're basically just taking the old Quebec Nordique style and putting it in the burgundy and dark blue. And I'm trying to think. The other one that was really, really, really cool was the New Jersey Devils, who when they first became that team in the 80s, they actually had green jerseys. It wasn't black and red like it is today. They were green and red, kind of a Christmassy look to them. But part of it was green because New Jersey's called the Garden State. But you know, another kind of infamous NHL style. So all in all, I mean, I guess I would grade. Well, here I'll ask you. What do you think about these Lightning jerseys?
I think they look really sick. Obviously, it's not anything super different from, you know, like our current jerseys or anything like that. But I mean, you know, it's, you know, I'm always a fan of just things that, you know, of changing up things, whether it be any sport, football, basketball, hockey, you know. So it's always cool to see, you know, how things change each year, and just with, you know, as each year goes on, I feel like designs kind of get a little more unique. Not that I'm saying that, you know, like the throwback ones are not unique. They probably just, I just feel like maybe they kind of fit their time back then than they would now. But I mean, you know, it's really cool also just seeing the fact that, you know, along with, you know, the rest of the NHL, that, you know, these retro, authentic, you know, jerseys are going to be worn across the league at, you know, select games, you know, this upcoming season. And I also just learned that, you know, this reveal of, you know, kind of the retro style jerseys for a lot of these teams is, you know, going to be marking the first time in NHL history that all 31 teams have participated in a league-wide alternate jersey program. So and especially after the Stanley Cup when, you know, being this design was from '04, you know, the goal when I was reading about, this reverse retro jersey style of all these teams, and that I respect a lot is, the goal is just to be representing, unique and historical moments in each club's history, but also kind of, having a little refresher of the color and design combination for that, that new presentation for this upcoming season. So, I mean, I love it a lot. I mean, it's not something I was like, wanting, but when I did find out, I was like, hey, that's really cool, and it's cool to see the other teams. But I mean, specifically with our Lightning, I was thinking, okay, well, I mean, obviously I do notice some differences, but I was thinking, okay, well, I wonder what else could they've done, but realizing that this is gonna be that '04 style, I was like, this is definitely a nice statement to make that, hey, we just won the Stanley Cup, and we're also gonna recognize our '04 win. So I love it. I think it's really cool. I'll be honest with you and the rest of our listeners. Will I buy it? Well, the question is, will I buy any hockey jersey? Well, I take that
It's a
back.
lot to ask, man. It's a lot to ask.
The question is, will I buy any hockey jersey? I will if I get like some season pass. They're quite pricey, and the thing is, we live in Florida, Eureka, as you know. So the thing is, ain't no such thing as a short sleeve hockey jersey. And
hey man, it gets really cold in the arena, man. The AC's blowing.
Oh my gosh!
You got a cold beer in your hand.
Oh yikes! I can imagine.
You need a sweater. You need a sweater.
I'll make sure next time I go to a Lightning game, I'll also bring my mittens.
The sun. You don't have to wear sunblock at the beach because you're wearing a jersey.
Yeah, that's true.
It's UV. I'm sure there's UV protection, all that stuff. I'm sure it's 100% safe, but. Yeah, man. It is one of those things because I do still see people wearing some of the older stuff, but once we did that redesign a few years ago and just went like super classic and like a super flat design, kind of getting away from some of the cartoony aspects that we've seen in the early '90s iteration of the Lightning. I think it was okay that they just didn't go too crazy like the Storm or anything, but. And also the NHL, like league-wide, just kind of initiating some of this marketing that other leagues like the NBA has done, where, like the NBA, just a lot of teams unveiled some of their jerseys as they did the NBA draft this week. And now every year it's kind of a new thing where, especially with Nike on board with the NBA, it's kind of become this cultural event where every year there's new jerseys, and every year those jerseys kind of harken back to either an old team or some kind of heritage, or even just like a new version that's been created based on the history of the city or the state that they're in. So I do like this from the NHL. I think it's cool, and I hope that they can take all this and then move forward with kind of we went to the past and we did some cool retro remix stuff. I want to see what the future holds. Like if they made a Tampa jersey that was based on, the cultural heritage that we have in St. Pete, in Tampa, in Clearwater, all these things with the beaches and the vibrant nightlife and all this kind of crazy stuff. I'm not a fashion designer by any means, but I think that some really motivated and creative people can put their heads together, and seeing what we see now is pretty cool. I want to see what they do in the future. I hope that people do buy a lot of these jerseys so they can continue to do stuff like this, where it isn't just marketing for marketing's sake, but it's actually cool stuff that maybe some local designers can get involved with the process and kind of make whatever they do for Tampa relevant to this this vibrant and growing city that we have here. So, but that's all I got for this week. I want to thank everyone for taking their time out of their day to listen to us. If you like what you're hearing, whatever format you're listening to this in, I know there's a like button there, and I'm pretty sure there's a subscribe button too. So if you're on YouTube, if you're on Apple Podcasts, if you're on Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, any format you're listening to us right now, please just take a couple seconds, hit like, subscribe to us, get all of our episodes as they post every weekend. If you're feeling frisky, leave us a voicemail. We're at 813-778-5280. Keep your message under a minute, and eventually we will be picking questions to put onto the pod. Masad, man, anything for us before we get out of here, boss?
Well, it's been a pleasure, as always, Eureka, and we appreciate you as well to all of our listeners. We're always open to, hearing if you have any anything you want from us. And as Eureka mentioned the number, we'd love to hear about, what you think about, how we're doing. If you have anything to add to, our content, whether it be related to the Bucks, Rays, Lightning, or Rowdies, or if you also want to buy me one of those retro jerseys, please let me know about that, because they don't come cheap. Or maybe we can go 50-50 on something like that.
I'm not too proud to beg, man. I'm with you. You can do that.
Well, the thing is also, Eureka, hey, Christmas is coming soon, and
don't remind me. Don't remind me.
Yeah,
the music already started.
Yeah, the music started, and the decorations have started, man. I drive around my neighborhood and the other area, and those red and green lights are already here.
Oh yeah.
But overall, just thanks to our listeners, and thank you, Eureka, as well. It's been a pleasure so far to be doing this with you. So that's all I got to say.
Yeah, man, right back at you guys. Thank you for listening to us. Like, subscribe, be with us every week. Let's go Bucks. Let's put down the Rams. I want a 100-0 victory. Let's do this. Put Jared Goff down. Here we go, baby. Bucks are going.
If the Bucks beat the Rams 100-0, I will call the first person who leaves a voicemail. I will buy a retro jersey, whether that be the Bucks retro jersey or a Lightning retro jersey. I will buy them a jersey, and I will ship it to them, mail it to them. Man, I'll even come to their house and deliver them a cake with the jersey.
See?
But that's only if. That's only if we win 100-0. If it's 99-0. If it's 99-0, then it's up to you, Eureka, if you want to buy someone a jersey. But I'm only doing 100 or up to 0.
It's a lock. Just put it in right now.
You heard it here first.
You heard it right here at RBLR Sports. Guys, have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.